Welcome to Gentle Restorative. My name is Sandra, and we're going to start in a seated position with the eyes closed and the mind simply focusing on the breath. And in your mind's eye, I want you to picture a vine. You can get creative. It can be little, it can be massive. It can have flowers, maybe it's just leaves. I want you to follow, just one strand of that vine, one stem of it. And notice how it's never just a path from A to B. It's not a path from the top leaf to the ground. Vines have a way of twisting and tangling themselves up and around and all over, right? Maybe you could say they're yogis at heart, twisting themselves into pretzel poses, but I just want you to see that for a moment. And then let's take a slow, deep breath in. Loud exhale. As always, inhale the arms up, bring the palms together, and release them home to your heart and prayer pose so that we can pause here to set an intention. And then go ahead, release the arms. Take that right arm straight across the body, stretch it out a little bit. We're gonna try to find ways to be viney in our poses, so nothing too pretzel-y. And then the other arm. Perfect. Release the arms. Inhale them back up. Exhale to the heart. And then we're going to take the arms into eagle because that was about as viney as I could come up with in my head. So take the right arm underneath the left and let those vines just wrap around each other. I kind of angle myself here so I can still see you. Round the shoulders, elbows are shoulder height. And this pose in particular can be quite challenging because a lot of arms don't want to do this. So I want you to think about how determined your arms are to attempt whatever they need to. It could be, backs of the hands together, whatever it is for you, right? That there's a determination there. And that is one of the symbolisms of a vine, how determined they are. And then maybe you can spread your fingers wide, symbolizing how vines branch out. Let's take a deep inhale here. Let it go. I'm just going to slowly unravel my arms if they were raveled in the first place, and then go ahead and pull the elbows back. I'm keeping my forearms parallel to the ground. I just want to draw the shoulder blades in. Hold that, but continue to breathe. Perfect. And then slowly let the arm slide back forward. Left arm, a left arm underneath right. I had to think about that for a moment. If I said it backwards, just fix it. I think I'm okay. Anyway, we have the determination of the vines on this side. Spread the fingers wide, they're branching out. And so do you suppose that in the vines not going directly from the ground to the sky, that how they take this very creative path, Is that more difficult of a journey for the vine? Is it making things harder for itself? Do you make things harder on yourself? Untangle the arms, draw the elbows back, pull the shoulder blades in. And then I'm just going to keep the arms here, but I'm going to rotate my hands so the palms face in. My thumbs are now facing up to the ceiling. And then the thumbs are going to pull back to reach gently behind me. Breathe. Exhale, release the arms. You might want to roll the shoulders out a little bit one at a time. Take them forward. Perfect. All right. I say we start out restorative. What do you think? Let's put a block behind us. Grab that bolster, prop it up. Looking for a happy place here. Let's grab the blanket as well. I'm going to unfold this all the way. Sorry. I know that's a little bit of work so that I can fold the short ends together so that my blanket is going to be as long as it possibly can be. Kind of like a long vine, right? I keep working that into the sequence and the theme here. All right, well, not a pretty folding job, but you get the point, right? A nice long noodle shape. So let's take the feet into cobbler, soles together. I'm gonna sit back against that bolster. The center of my blanket is going on top of my feet, and then the edges are gonna either wrap around, you could even get them to come up on your thigh if your blanket's long enough, or double it up under the knees for extra support, which is what I think I'm gonna do just to make this more comfortable. And then go ahead, lay back. Close your eyes. So why vines? Why is that our theme today? So I decided that since it wasn't super hot out today, it would be a good day to tackle the vines. Now, having grown up near the Morton Arboretum, to me, landscaping should be kind of allowed to grow where it wants to grow. And so when the vines first started meandering away from their designated area, I didn't pay too much attention. I didn't really like it, but I didn't pay much attention. I let it go. And then, as vines will do, they kept meandering, they kept growing, and soon they weren't just around one tree in the front yard. They were coming down the side of the house. Somehow they'd morphed into the backyard along half of the back of the house. And it was time. It was time to tackle those things. And so, well, first, can I just say they're not all that easy to pull out. So a lot of arm strength, a lot of hard work. And I, most of the time, was sitting on the ground, bracing my feet to pull these vines out. And what I noticed, and maybe this has happened to you before, when we're doing something meticulous, it is a great opportunity for the mind to walk in and go, hey, this is what I'm going to have you be thinking about, right? Because we're focused on something else. I wasn't focused on the present. I was just, routinely reaching and pulling and reaching and pulling. And so I finally noticed that there were a bunch of thoughts in my head from my past that had surfaced that I didn't want to think about. And I was getting frustrated. And at first, I started to use that frustration on the vines, which, never hurts. But I kept thinking, why? Why are you bothering me? I don't have any interest in delving into these thoughts. I have zero interest in dealing with this issue that has arisen in my head. Why have you surfaced now? And that made me realize I was looking at that in the wrong way. I paused to bring myself to the present moment, which was pulling vines, but those vines were so tangled and interwoven. It was like the thoughts that didn't want to leave my head, right? We all have these vines in our head. These are the thoughts that, because we didn't clear them out before, they multiplied. They have taken over, right? They're a little bit harder to get rid of right now because there's so many of them. And so I started thinking as I was pulling the vines about how much they wanted to stay rooted. Those thoughts that we carry around from maybe unresolved issues or just something that we just don't want to go back to, those are very rooted, aren't they? And what a fabulous opportunity for them to appear when you are distracted, when your mind does not have to be focused on what you're doing. So I want you to pause. I want you to think about when that happens to you, when thoughts pop up that you just have no interest in delving into, what do you do next? Do you distract yourself with something else? Because I thought about that. I thought about leaving the vines and going to do something else. Do you succumb to them and let them suck you into the past? Do you focus on the present, grab your yoga tools and make a change? Or something else? There's no right or wrong answer. I want you to answer that in your head so that you are aware of what you have a tendency to do. And while I am kind of truthfully expecting you to come up with an answer in your head, even though you might have just tuned me out as a rhetorical question, maybe your answer is, well, it kind of depends on the circumstance and it kind of depends on the subject matter of the thoughts. Well, that's fair too. I mean, at least that's an answer, right? So we're just trying to figure out how we deal with the mind taking over. All right. Well, let's bring our focus now to our breath. Take a deep inhale through the nose. Cleansing exhale. And then go ahead and plant the hands on the ground next to you so they can push the earth away. Gently draw you back up. Let's leave the legs in collar because, I don't know, they seem pretty happy here. And then go ahead, reach forward to grab onto the feet. Inhale, find your leg. Stay here if you're happy, or go ahead and hinge forward and do a fold. When you're ready, rise back up. And then can we move the props that are behind us, please? I know you can. I mean, will you? And then we'll set that blanket aside. Maybe have a block within reach just in case you decide that would be helpful. And then we're coming down onto our backs. So hug the knees into the heart. And while you're there, what I want you to also think about is, so one of the symbolisms of a vine is branching out, but another symbolism that correlates to vines is determination, right? Those vines are determined to grow where they want to, when they want to. And that's probably why they twist up and tangle, makes it harder to get them out. They're determined to hang on to the earth. And your thoughts, when they plague you, are equally as determined to stay. What are you going to do about it? So we got a little viney with the arms in eagle pose, Garandasana. So let's do the same with the legs. So take that right thigh, get it up on top of the left thigh, and then see if the legs will wrap around like vines. If they do not, that is okay, right? We do what we can. We'll put the feet wherever they end up. And then we are going to come into a twist with the legs in eagle. So that's why I said have a block nearby if you think it would be handy. You might want to put that block on your left side. And Take the arms into whatever open position makes you happy, and then slowly drop the legs down. Or since the legs are pulling us down with the weight of them bound, you could keep that left arm free to help you out for a moment. And then when you get comfortable, go ahead and send that left arm back out. So to stay present, I want you to focus on something within the body, or maybe it's a physical part of the body. So it might just be the twist of the legs, or maybe you're only going to focus on the right shoulder, or the feeling of the breath coming in through the nose. Anything. It could be maybe you feel the flutter of your heartbeat. Anything, excuse me, that you want. So of course I picked eagle because I feel like we're wrapped up like vines. But if you think about it, I believe an eagle shares that same determination and symbolism as a vine. So with your eyes closed, I just want you to see this beautiful eagle, wings outstretched, soaring through the sky, determined to go exactly where it wants to go. I should also just point out, if at any point in time your legs can't stand this anymore, go ahead and untangle them and just rest the right knee up on top of the left. And then before we pull the knees back to center, which is going to be a little challenging with them bound, let's untangle them first. So go ahead and free them. And then when you're ready, pull the knees to center. Let's just set the feet down, the width of the mat, and let the knees fall together for a moment, closing your eyes. You know, I also will tell you one other thought I had while I was pulling these vines for 3 hours. That one of my first thoughts was fighting with the vines. But then my yoga kicked in, and I thought, no, you can't bring that kind of word into your energy, right? I don't want to fight with the vines. I want to show them the way out of the earth. Just be careful when you're fighting something. It just sets up an energy that isn't very advantageous. All right, pull the knees back in. Let's get that left leg up on top of the right, finding Garudasana when you're ready. And then again, if you need a prop on your right side, go ahead and put one there. Drop the legs over to the right carefully, and then send the arms wherever you want them to go. Close your eyes, be that eagle again. One more breaths here. And then remember, we're going to untangle the legs first. When you're ready, bring them to center. Set the feet down to the width of the mat, knees together. And then this time, let's just reach the arms overhead for something different. Start to deepen the breath. If the shoulders don't want to be reaching overhead, then you should have already changed that. See, we don't need in a restorative class to add to mental struggles, right? We don't need thoughts popping in like, oh, my arm doesn't want to go there. The mind is going to bring in thoughts all by itself when you are least expecting them. And that's kind of what we're talking about. And how do we take back control? All right, deep breath in. Exhale, let's bring the arms down alongside of us. Separate the knees, slide the shoulder blades underneath you. We're prepping for bridge. When you're ready, lift on up. Your exhale will float you back down. So we're creating a vinyasa. Inhale, lift on up. Exhale it down. Three more. And when you come back down, just close your eyes for a moment. So from here, let's go ahead and lift the head, push up onto the elbows, get the hands behind you, fingers facing in, arms are bent. Yes, we're coming up into tabletop. Lift on up, breathe, smile. Inhale. Exhale, bend into the arms just for the triceps. So hips are coming down, but they're not touching the earth. Inhale, lift back up. Exhale, release down. Two more if you have it in you. If you want to stop, go ahead and stop. Last one, if you're still going. Good job. Come all the way down. Perfect. I'm just going to walk my hands back a little further so I have room here to come into seated pigeon. That right ankle's coming up on the left thigh. And then I'm going to kind of scrunch up this pose a little bit. When you feel something in that right hip glute area, close your eyes, breathe. If you want to, you could sway the legs back and forth. You might add in really slowly, rolling the head from side to side. Might as well multitask while we're here. And then let's go ahead and keep that right leg where it is, but straighten out the left leg. Yeah. So sitting up nice and tall, let's reach the arms up. And then hinge forward into a fold. Let the arms come down first to support you. And then make your way back up. Ah, perfect. Hands will come back behind us to support the body, and then go ahead and switch up the legs. Again, it's up to you how much you need to scooch in to feel this pose, but when you feel it, close your eyes, have a smile. Again, maybe the legs kind of sway back and forth. Maybe you add in the head and the neck. When you feel like you've had enough, go ahead and stretch out that right leg. Keep the left leg up on top. Reach with the arms, and then find your fold. All right, inhale. Make your way back up. And then straighten out the legs and just shake them out for a moment. Perfect. All right, we're going to need some props here. So let's have a block out behind you, medium height. Let's grab the bolster, bring it horizontally across the mat. It's spaced out here. I need my shoulders in between. Let's also grab the blanket. I know we made a very creative, long, noodly thing, but it doesn't have to be how I folded it. I just need you to have that somewhere off to the left side in case you want it. So I'm turning my left hip to the bolster. I'm going to stretch first so that ribs right over that. And then this won't be a supported side bend really because we're going to put our head up on that block. So there's not too much. There's a little arch going on, but not a whole bunch. Okay, so we got that blanket there. I thought, how fun would it be to come into supported eagle? So can you get the legs into eagle here? I'm going to get my right foot to come above my left thigh so I can lift that leg and just slide it under. So we don't have to double wrap the feet. You know, I think one intertwining of our viney legs is totally fine, right? And then we're also going to take the arms into eagle. So I'm going to bring that right arm down and just let the arms wrap over each other. And, you know, I'm going to let you choose which arm seems easier. I'm putting my left arm under. That seems to make more sense because the left arm is already on the floor. But if it makes more sense to you to do it the other way, that's totally fine. Close your eyes if you haven't already. And can you relax here? There's a lot going on, but we want to make peace with it. And then I'm thinking we can multitask here again, couldn't we? So take your focus to your breath. And let's pick an arbitrary number. I'll just throw 8 out there. You change it if you need to. So we'll inhale slowly to the count of 8. And let's exhale to the count of 8. So of course, if you'd rather breathe more slowly and you need that number to be higher, change it. You can alter your breath to meet the number if you want to, if that doesn't feel unnatural. So if you go back to picturing your vine that you first thought of and see it as a system of vines, right? It's actually kind of impressive, the structure that it sets up and the way it wraps around anything in its path so it can survive. That doesn't necessarily mean what it wraps around will survive. You know, vines often will wrap around trees, kind of choking them, or other flowers. I want you to think about the thought process kind of being similar in a way, right? The thoughts collaboratively creating a system. And sometimes when we can't release a thought, it's as though it has wrapped around our brain and is just stifling us, holding us back. And when we can't release from that, it makes it harder to come into the present moment, doesn't it? Take a few more breaths right here. So let's go ahead and untangle the arms first. And then if you want to, you can leave the legs together. It's going to make this more challenging, so I leave that up to you. You're either going to leave them together or you're going to put that right leg right up on top of the left. We're going to tip backwards and do a twist, so I need you to take that block and move it a little bit so that when you start to roll the head still has a block to lay on. And then I'm just going to kind of lift my back so that I can shift a little bit to turn my heart more towards the ceiling. So kind of an intense twist. That's why I said if you think it's too much for you, separate the legs. Make any other adjustments you need to. If you don't want to be in a twist, then you could straighten out the body, right? Or simply just bring the right arm back over. And then let's go ahead, draw the right arm back across. If the legs are still in Garudasana, you untangle them and then slowly come back up so you can turn around for the other side. I'm going to move my props. All right, so remember, you're going to get that right hip right against the bolster, get the right shoulder in between the bolster and your fabulous pillow, and then left foot comes up above that right thigh. We're going to lift that bottom thigh and then just trap the top leg underneath. Simple as that, right? Take the arms into eagle. I'm just going to lay my left arm right over my right and wrap the arms around. Find your happy place. Close your eyes. Let's go back to counting the breath. We'll still work with whatever number you were using on the other side. And now when you're ready, untangle the arms. Move that block behind you just a little so you can open up the heart. Pull that left arm behind you. Decide if the legs are comfortable staying twisted up or if they need to separate. You know, here's another kind of way of thinking about this. I'm not even sure where these vines popped up from. I haven't a guess. I think they came in with a flower my mom gave me. But anyway, at first, I thought the vine was really pretty. Once it took over, I didn't think it was that pretty, right? It was a mess. Some of the thoughts we hang on to because we don't really want to deal with them, we push them away because it's not because they're pretty, it's because we don't mind their presence. But when they've been allowed to germinate for a long time, those thoughts become messier, they become bigger, right? Harder to get rid of. And we can make the same comparison on the yoga mat right here, especially if you have your legs still twisted. I would imagine that the longer we stayed in this pose, the harder it's going to be to get out of it, right? Your muscles are just thinking, oh my gosh, how am I going to untangle? How will I release? And so we want to stay present. We want to acknowledge that, but not overstay our welcome. So take a deep inhale. As you exhale, exhale, bring that left arm back across. Untangle the legs if you didn't already. And then push your way right back out to a seated position. I'm going to get my feet in front of me, knees bent, and just round forward and hug the knees. A couple of deep breaths, especially into the side ribs. That was a lot of twisting. So let's breathe three-dimensionally. Perfect. And then open back up, moving the props off of your mat. Let's come on over into table. When you're ready, find your transition between cow and cat. When you're ready, downward facing dog. Walk it out. And then bringing the knees down wide, we can sit right back into child's pose. So while you're there, Roman Payne wrote this. A person does not grow from the ground like a vine or a tree. One is not part of a plot of land. Mankind has legs, so it can wander. And so I thought that quote was just a good reminder that we don't have to stay where we are. We don't have to stay put. We don't have to stay within our comfort zone. We don't have to stay and be berated by our mind's thoughts. We have all of these choices to move forward and beyond. So I want you to think about if you're stuck in any way, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and what would you like to do about that? We're going to rise back up into table. Let's send that left leg out behind us, tuck the toes, push into the heel. And then open up that left hip, rotate onto the inner sole of that back foot. You can move that right foot to swing out behind you if you need more support. And then maybe left hand to the left hip or reaching for the sky. Hips move forward. Breathe. Big inhale. Exhale, slowly bring that left hand back down. We're going to square off the hips again, so rotate onto the ball of that back foot, push into the heel. And then if you have room, take the left leg out to your side in gate pose. If you have to turn on your mat, go ahead and pause to do that. Option A, stay right here. Option B, you can sit back onto that right heel if you want to. Maybe the arms reach farther out in front of you. Totally up to you. But wherever you are, be happy with the decision and just focus on the breath. So if you came back to sit on the heel, rise up again, draw that left knee in, realign your table pose, inhale cow, exhale cat, take it into half dog or puppy pose, reaching the arms out in front of you. Let's take the forehead down to the earth or to a block. Big inhale. Exhale, walk the hands back in. Take the right leg, send it out behind you. Push into the heel. And then as you come onto the inner edge of that back foot, open up the top hip, find your balance. You can rotate that bottom foot out behind you. Right hand to the hip or to the ceiling. Deep breath in. Exhale, release the hand back to the earth. Take the right leg back out to the side in gate pose. Either staying right here, breathing, or dropping the hips down to rest on that left heel. When you're ready, come on back up. Right knee in and just sit back for a second so we can grab some more props. Let's take the bolster. Bring it horizontally across the middle of your mat. My blanket's already up at the far end, so toss yours out that direction if yours is not already. And then let's go ahead and bring the hips down on top of that bolster. Grab your blanket and make yourself an awesome pillow and close your eyes. So I think I've given you something to think about. Wow, that was worded really well. The vines, when they are allowed to just take over and grow wherever they want to go and tangle around whatever they want to choke, they they can't change. It's like a forward movement, a snowballing effect, right? Of whatever the vine has started, that's the direction it's heading in. And so if you were able to answer any of those questions I asked you about where in your life, do you feel stagnant? Where do you want to incorporate change? What's holding you back? Are you stuck in a comfort zone situation? Um, you're going to have to think about, is it time to pull the roots out? Lauren Oliver wrote, I guess it's the same way trees go around the very vines that are killing them. So they're strangled and sustained all at once. After a long time, even pain can be a comfort. And that's kind of what I meant about staying in your comfort zone. A lot of people will stay in situations they don't like because it's comfortable. They might hate their job, but they'll stay there. They might hate the relationship they're in, but they'll stay there, right? So think about that. Think about this metaphor of vines just wrapping around the throat chakra as though it, we're strangling you. And is that okay? It's up to you. We all have choice. Do you choose to release the vines? On a side note, I would recommend not planting them if you ever think you're going to pull them out. Take a deep breath in. Let it go. If you have your head turned to one side, go ahead, turn it to the other. Another deep inhale, big exhale, and then, excuse me, slowly get your hands underneath you. Push back to child's pose, resting your forehead on your bolster. And when you're ready, rise back up and set up Shavasana on your mat. Take your time, make sure it's the way you want it to be. Tickle on my throat, and I'll come back and get you. Begin to bring your focus back to your breath, allowing the breath to move freely without structure, without control, without vines hanging on to it. And then bring some movement back into the body. Take a deep breath in through the nose. Slowly let it go through the mouth. And then if you're comfortable, how could you not be? You can stay exactly where you are for a moment, but if you prefer to roll into a fetal position, go right ahead. And when you're ready, begin to make your way back up into your favorite seated pose. Strong inhale through the nose. Super loud exhale through the mouth. And then inhale, take the arms all the way up. Bring the palms together and release them back home to your heart in prayer pose. The light in me bows to the light in you. And when I'm in that place in me and you're in that place in you, then we become one. Namaste.